Good evening, dear friends. This is Santa Claus with you on this lovely evening of June 26, 2025, bringing you the day's news with warmth and reflection on a day that reminds us of history's long shadow as it marks the anniversary of the Treaty of Nanking coming into effect in 1843. I'm afraid that our friends in Ukraine are feeling rather forgotten at this week's NATO summit, with their concerns slipping down the priority list. President Zelensky wasn't given the same warm reception as in years past, with President Trump taking center stage instead. As one professor quipped, "Ukraine, what's Ukraine?" It breaks my heart to see any nation in need being overlooked, for we must always remember those suffering from conflict and hardship. Meanwhile, across the globe, trade tensions are mounting as Japan's talks with the United States appear to be hitting roadblocks over auto tariffs. With President Trump's deadline of July 9 fast approaching, Japanese negotiators are hurrying to Washington to remind everyone that Japanese automakers actually produce millions of cars in the United States, showing how we're all more connected than we sometimes realize. Oh, how I wish for peace and cooperation among nations, rather than these disputes over tariffs and trade. More concerning news from Europe, the United Kingdom has announced it will purchase 12 F-35A stealth jets capable of carrying nuclear weapons, marking what the government calls the biggest strengthening of the UK's nuclear posture in a generation. This expansion of military capability gives me pause, as I've always believed our true strength lies not in weapons, but in how we care for one another. Turning our attention to Venezuela, a former spymaster known as El Palo, the Chicken, has pleaded guilty to drug trafficking charges in a U.S. court. How sad it is when those entrusted with power use it not to protect, but to harm communities through the distribution of drugs that bring such suffering. The European Union leaders are gathering in Brussels today to discuss tougher sanctions on Russia, as well as concerns about U.S. tariffs and Middle East conflicts. President Zelensky will join them by video, and I'm heartened to see that he earlier signed an accord with the Council of Europe to establish a special tribunal for war crimes. Justice may take time, but pursuing it with patience and determination is essential for healing. In North Korea, there's news of a beach resort opening after years of delays. While new opportunities for joy and relaxation are always welcome, I wonder about the contrast between such developments and the needs of ordinary citizens there. My wish is always that leaders everywhere prioritize the well-being of all their people, especially those most vulnerable. Sadly, in Germany, the government has ended funding for rescuing migrants in the Mediterranean Sea, a decision that has sparked concern about the humanitarian consequences. I'm reminded that we must always see the humanity in those seeking safety and shelter, remembering that the Holy Family themselves were once refugees. My heart aches for Kenya, where at least 8 people have died and hundreds more been injured in protests marking 1 year since similar demonstrations last year. Violence is never the answer, my friends, and I pray for peaceful dialogue and understanding to prevail. In economic news from the United States, President Trump is considering naming the next Federal Reserve chair early, perhaps as soon as this summer, though Chair Powell's term runs for another 11 months. Meanwhile, despite China's promise to ease exports of rare earth magnets, Western companies report continued difficulties obtaining these essential components, with manufacturers struggling to maintain production. As we reflect on all these events, let us remember that behind every headline are real people with hopes, fears, and dreams. May we approach each challenge with compassion, seeking not division but unity, not conflict but peace. This is Santa Claus, wishing you all a blessed evening filled with kindness toward one another.